Child, they done messed up and gave me my own show. What's going on, you guys? Welcome to the High Dev Perspective, a podcast where we embark on a transformative odyssey of healing, spiritual awakenings, and expanded consciousness. I am your host, the one, the only, Debonair Mathis. Happy New Year, you guys. I hope everybody is safe. 2023 was a time last year, okay? I found myself healing. I quit my job after 10 years. I healed some more. I came out to the world as gay. I healed even a little bit more. And found myself on a twin flame journey. Of course, I healed even more after that. And bitch, I moved out of my apartment after 10 years. And a bitch is now finally living on his own. Yes, I finally did it. After 10 years, I am now fully independent. And when I tell you this experience, I literally feel as though it's like a rebirth. Honestly, it's literally like a rebirth because I found myself doing things that, one, I wasn't accustomed or able to do. You know, when you have roommates, for me, I felt like I was limited, as far as like certain things that I could do. Perfect example, bitch, I have all the room in the refrigerator now. You see what I'm saying? I cook when I want to cook, as far as like the timing and some old shit. I don't have to turn the TV down at a certain time. I'm focused on me. I'm focused on me. And when I tell you it's liberating, I'm in a space of liberation, freedom, and growth. And I'm very, very thankful for that. This journey has been very interesting. It's had a lot of ups and it's had a lot of downs. What I can say, it's not easy. You know what I'm saying? I found that I'm in a space where I've been opening up a lot of wounds that I've had suppressed, as far as embracing, past life trauma, embracing my trauma, and identifying triggers that I didn't even know that I even had. When it comes to this healing process, this is what it entails. You know what I'm saying? This is an ongoing journey. The more you start to come into yourself, the more you start to identify and you start to understand certain triggers and certain patterns that you weren't able to recognize then. And essentially, the best part about this whole journey is you are now coming back into what I like to call your higher self. That's what I've been focused on, especially within this past 2023 year. And now I feel like I'm in a space where not only do I got shit to talk about, but, it's basically just my journey and some more shit. But I just want to share with you guys how transformative this has been for me to be in a space of authenticity, freedom, and just not giving a fuck anymore. And I think that's what life is all about, is just not giving a fuck. My intentions for this show is to create a safe space for us to have more of an understanding as far as what healing looks like and allowing yourself to grow. I'm definitely going to bring up certain topics that identify within the mind, the body, the soul, the spirit, and the one that we don't really talk about the most, which is the shadow. I just want this to be a space where we can have these kind of discussions, because a lot of this shit I feel like is swept under the rug. And because it's swept under the rug, people aren't growing and they're not living up to their fullest potential. So I want this to be a podcast where we can have these kind of conversations and not be in a space where we have to suppress, certain topics or not have these difficult conversations. I'm going to have them. At times, this may be a podcast that will trigger people, and that's okay because I would rather you be triggered and bring this up and identify something within your life versus just, you know what I'm saying, continuing old habits that's not allowing you to grow or fulfill your highest potential. So, with that being said, I want to just dive right in and talk a little bit about the B word, which is boundaries. This is something that I had to discover. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. This is something that I literally just discovered honestly last year. I mean, I knew that they were around, you know what I'm saying? But it's like as far as me implementing them within my life, I just now started setting boundaries last year. Boundaries are limits or guidelines that define acceptable behavior or the extent of something. They can be applied to personal relationships, personal settings, or even spaces. Setting boundaries helps establish a sense of respect, communication, and mutual understanding. So let's unpack that. Like I said, I never had them. I found that I was a people pleaser and I was a yes man. And I would give people all of my energy at all times of the day. And I wasn't in a space where I was putting myself first. Hell, I think I was in a space where I was just like, I feel as though I put FOMO as a priority that I did boundaries. And obviously now realizing that now that that's a red flag. So how does one know when they should set boundaries? Well, at first it starts off of paying attention with how you feel. What are you experiencing in that moment? Are you safe? Do you feel unsafe? Are you comfortable? Do you feel uncomfortable? Understanding that it's okay to say no. So, how does one know when to set boundaries? For me, I feel as though it's number one, based off of how you feel, and what you're experiencing in that moment. Do you feel as though you're in a comfortable setting? Do you feel like whatever it is that you're in right now, is it the right thing to do? These are things that I genuinely would avoid, growing up. And it wasn't until my therapist and I actually addressed, these boundaries because as I was growing into who I am, this version that I am right now, I started to realize that certain things I was not comfortable doing or saying anymore. And so I had a hard time implementing or I guess voicing my opinion on certain topics. If you think about it, like I said, I was going to talk about this a lot. There's so much duality in everything that we do. You have to understand that. Okay. So, like, if you're feeling safe, what's the opposite of safe? Unsafe. If you're feeling comfortable, what's the opposite of comfortable? Uncomfortable. These are duality types. So, everything has a duality. I found myself afraid of the effect if I were to do a cause. So let me give you a perfect example. I remember the first time that I wanted to set a boundary, and it was with a friend of mine, and I didn't feel comfortable sharing information, personal information anymore because I just wanted to keep things to myself. And I remember the response that I got because I didn't want to share was, well, excuse me, you used to share things with me in the past. And because of me hearing that, I found that, damn, I had like this sense of guilt, like, oh my God, maybe what I'm doing in this moment is wrong. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that you're going to experience when it comes to setting a boundary. And so I had to overcome that and realize, having conversation with myself, that no, 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 Debonair, this is what we're not going to do. We're not going to fall for that. We're going to put ourselves first. And so I had to put my foot down and explain that, it's just something that I'm not comfortable sharing um, in this time. And that's okay. And this is a part of, now this isn't me explaining that to my friend, but this is me, internally having conversation with myself now. This is a part of the growth process that I'm supposed to endure, and this was a difficult feeling, as far as me not sharing this information anymore, but I have to put myself first in these moments. And because I set a boundary, this was me showing up for myself in that moment. And so I remember after the conversation, I walked back and I was just like, wow, damn, Dev, I did it. I did it. I did it. It wasn't easy because I found myself slipping into old patterns, you know what I'm saying, of me like being the yes man or people pleasing. And so I continued this process. This is what I like to call it. I continued this process over time, and I developed that I become very, very strong, with setting boundaries. Now, why are boundaries important? Well, number one, it's an asset to any healing or self love journey. That's for damn sure. But I feel as though it's a homage to the level of respect that you have for yourself, and I'm finding that the more and more I heal within my journey, the more and more I start developing more boundaries. And that's okay. I'm in a space right now where I have to make myself a priority. I realize that nobody's going to do it but me. Not only is it important for me to put myself first, but it's also a space for me to understand somebody else's OS system, somebody else's operating system. Somebody may have a specific boundary towards something that I may not be aware of. So it's important for me to respect them as a person and whatever it is that their boundaries are. So essentially, there's this reciprocity. I still have a hard time saying that word. It's still this level of reciprocity that's been given between two people who have boundaries for themselves, who have set boundaries for themselves. Perfect example. And this is the wildest one. I remember I was on my way to therapy, and let's actually rewind that for a second. I'm not always the most punctual person. I'm not even gonna lie to you, okay? I'm not one of the most punctual people out there. However, I was running like a smooth 5-10 minutes late to therapy. Now, was this a repetitive pattern that I had? I mean, not repetitive, but it was just one of those things where it's just like every now and then, like this week, I was on time. Next week, I was running like 5-10 minutes late. The week after, I was running 5-10 minutes late. The week after, I was on time, kind of a thing. You get what I'm saying? So there was just this ebb and flow of, punctuality. My therapist clearly experienced something because when we started the following session, he said, before we go ahead and start today's session, I just want to express to you that, when you come in late, it shows that you don't appreciate, the value of our sessions and his time. And when I tell you, it was one of those things where I was just like, damn, I didn't, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't, because I wasn't aware of that because I was in my space. I'm also having to realize that I'm showing up to a session that involves a second party. So I need to have some sort of respect for this person's time. You get what I'm trying to say? So in the moment, I remember being like, damn, man, I'm really sorry that, you know, my actions have caused you to feel this way. And moving forward, I will definitely work on that. And it was something that I really did implement because after we left that session, I was just like, damn, I genuinely do enjoy our sessions and I don't want my therapist to ever feel like that. You know what I'm saying? Because you're helping me. So the last thing I want to do is not, not pay that in return by me showing up, tardy. But like I said, because I was so in a space where I was just genuinely naturally not on time to certain things, I didn't realize that it was a priority for me to show up clearly uh, to therapy on time. I mean, it sounds crazy. I get all of that, but it was just one of those things where I'm just like, you live and you learn. And I'm really happy that he was in a space where he could tell me, and I was open to shifting my mindset and making sure that I no longer showed up to these sessions late. And that's just what I did. As an end result, I think that it was very effective and very appropriate because what my therapist was doing was he was putting himself first and explaining to me something that, the cause, which was, me showing up late. But the effect moving forward was I never showed up late again after that because, like I said, I genuinely value these sessions, and I don't want to come off as somebody who's not caring of, his time. And so I made sure that I showed up each time, if not 10 minutes early, just to show him that, what, I heard you in that moment. And moving forward, I will definitely make an adjustment to prioritize and, show the respect for you and your priorities and your boundaries moving forward. Okay, so we know what boundaries are and how to implement them and why they're so important. Now, why is it so hard for people to create them? Personally, I feel as though there's this limiting belief that we have about ourselves. I know for a majority of us, there's like this cap as far as how advanced you want to excel in life. I broke the cap. Okay, you get what I'm trying to say. So I'm not somebody that needs to be even in a cap. I don't see ceilings. I don't see caps. I don't see anything that is hovering over me to get to the next level in my journey to being the best version of myself. But I do feel as though that there are these individuals who are just comfortable, which ties into my other, reason, the comfortable mindset and just being cool, calm, and collected as to where they're at in their journey. But yet you have to understand things aren't going to change if you're just going to allow yourself to sit and be and put up with certain things. I'm in a space right now in my journey where I no longer am going to put up with anything that isn't elevating, enhancing, or benefiting me. Come on, benefiting me in my journey. And that's just what it is. I'm not going to settle for anything anymore, so this is why I've created boundaries. And I've realized as I've grown into this version of who I am now, I know that a lot of people aren't okay with it. And I feel as though this is another reason why I think that it's important that you create these boundaries. But this is also a cause and effect. When you start creating boundaries for yourself, people who you were used to knowing and sharing certain information about you, because you have now changed your perception of yourself. It has now changed the perception of the people who you used to hang out with. What am I saying? Let's just use just some random. What can I think of right now? Let's talk about the club. Okay, cool. Bet. I don't like to go to the club anymore. I used to love going to the club. Like I used to love getting lit, taking shots, dancing, and all that kind of jazz. I'm not in that space of my journey anymore. I like to sit at home. I like to watch the Kardashians. I'm 9 times out of 10 on YouTube learning some shit. But my Friday and Saturday nights now consist of being in the house. And I'm perfectly okay with that. This is just where I'm at. I'm not wilding out like I used to. I don't do the things that I used to no more. What is that what Jaheim said? I changed for me. I'm being dead ass though. Like I changed. But like you have your homies who are just like, hey yo, Dev, let's go hang out. Let's go out, let's go out and get lit. I'm not on that anymore. I've created this boundary for myself. Like I don't want to be in that kind of environment. That environment doesn't suit me anymore. But the ones that it does suit, those friends, they're going to feel a certain way because you don't want to hang out with them anymore. So now it's going to cause this whole commotion. Oh, so you don't want to hang out, or they're going to basically feel some type of way about it. Respectfully and not respectfully, that has nothing to do with me because I've set this boundary for myself. And you're either going to accept it or I'm just going to have to keep it pushing. You get what I'm trying to say? So it's like that's where I'm at. And that's that cause and effect. I also had shared something with a friend that I originally had an idea of doing. Something changed in that moment, not in that same moment, but something changed, over the days. And I was just like, hey, unfortunately, I don't feel comfortable doing this anymore. It became a whole thing because I no longer, and I'm explaining, sometimes you don't even have to explain yourself, but in this moment I did. I was trying to explain myself because it was benefiting both of us in this situation. I explained to them that I no longer am comfortable attending this particular event because of X, Y, and Z. What normally in that exchange, in my opinion, what should have happened in that moment was there should have been a level of respect. You know what? Because you're feeling this kind of way regarding the situation now, I respect that. And we don't have to experience this event anymore. You know what I'm saying? We could do something else. At least that's what I would have done. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect or anything. I don't want to be perfect or anything like that. But I think a healthier way of doing it would have been that versus I felt attacked because I had this new opinion or this new, what do you want to call it? I had this new, fuck it, let's just say opinion. I had this new opinion about this experience now. My opinion on this experience changed, and that's just what it is, and that's okay. A healthy reciprocity, I can't say the word, reciprocity, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to get hung up on it. A healthy exchange would have been, you know what? Okay, cool. I still value this friendship. I'm okay with it. Let's just keep it pushing. Let's do something else. But my boundaries were crossed and I was made to feel less than. And I wasn't okay with that. And so I say all that to say it's a matter of putting myself first. And I stood by what I said. And that's just what it is. And I still feel the same way, regarding the experience now that I did then. Nothing's changed. like I said before, it comes with this cause and effect when it comes to setting up boundaries. It's a lot easier for somebody who actually has boundaries for themselves. If you don't have boundaries for yourselves, then you don't even have an understanding or an understanding what's happening in this moment because you're so used to seeing somebody one way because you don't even have boundaries for yourself. Now, that's just what I'm experiencing, as I'm starting to create more and more boundaries for myself and implementing them. But now I'm in a space now where the people that I have surrounded myself with, they do have this level of respect for themselves and they are making themselves a priority and they're putting themselves first. And with that, them putting themselves first, they have created boundaries for themselves. And as a friend, it's my duty to respect their boundaries. You know what I'm saying? As they're going to respect mine. Reciprocity. I still can't say the damn word. Reciprocity. There you go. Thank you, Spirit, because he was in my ear. He said reciprocity. Yeah, so it's that reciprocity, and if there's not that equal give and take of reciprocity, then boundaries are going to continuously be crossed. Okay, so what are some ways that you can start implementing boundaries? One of the biggest things that I've learned in therapy is having these self check ins with yourself. I do these nonstop because I'm now connected with, not only my 3D self that you see on this earth, but I'm also connected with my 5D self, my higher self. And so 9 times out of 10, if I'm experiencing, a setback, and that's the negative um, of something. Hell, I even do it on positive. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'll ask myself, how are you feeling in this moment? Do you feel as though you did the right thing? Did you make the right decision? These are these conversations that I'm constantly having with myself. And I feel like a lot of people don't have enough of these. We're always seeking out the approval from other people when the most important approval that you need is within yourself. So, especially when you're, doing this healing and self-love journey, it's all about connecting with yourself. So, you're you're created uniquely to be this version of you. So I say all of that to say I'm not in a space where I don't really ask unless, necessary. I don't really ask for like a second opinion. 9 times out of 10, I just go to myself. Excuse me. And I ask myself, I give myself the check ins. Did you handle the situation appropriately? Yes. Okay. No. If not, what do you think? What are some things that you could have done differently? Do you feel as though you need to reach out, and do X, Y, Z? These are the things that I'm asking myself. And it may look a little delusional, to some people because 9 times out of 10, I'm doing this in public. I'm not doing this in my head. Bitch, I'm out loud and I'm talking to myself in the public. Um, but that's just how I operate. That's how my operating system, aka my OS, works. So I definitely think that self check-ins are very important. Prioritizing self-care, putting yourself first, like I can't stress this shit enough, you guys. Like for one of the biggest things that I like to do, not only do I like to take care of my mind, body, and soul and my spirit, I meditate, I work out. Um, I like to, I like to keep myself up. I get my haircut every 2 weeks. I do my own nails. You know what I'm saying? But on top of all of these kind of things, like I'm taking myself out. You know what I'm saying? Like one of my favorite places is the theme park. Everybody knows that. And at least once a month, a bitch will take himself out to the theme park and ride rides because I'm obsessed with thrill. But these are things that I'm doing because I'm connecting to myself. You know what I'm saying? And it's all about putting yourself first. So if you're taking yourself on a date, you're getting to know thyself. Therefore, you start understanding and implementing what you like and what you don't like. But if you're not doing these things, 9 times out of 10, you're doing the polar opposite and you're constantly You're putting your energy and everything outward. I don't do that anymore. Like, I personally just, I'm not in a space where I like to do that. I like to focus my energy within, because now my energy is very expensive. Because I've done this work, my energy is extremely expensive. That's why I like to keep to myself for the most part. Or I put myself in situations or environments or energies that I know that are going to help me versus, taking L's. We're no longer taking L's in 2024. You get what I'm trying to say? Definitely prioritizing and doing self-care, whatever that looks like for you. I would encourage, writing a list of things that make you happy, and instead of seeking the approval of somebody else to do them for you, I challenge you to do them for yourself and experience what that feeling is. You know what I'm saying? Because 9 times out of 10, even to this day, you guys, I kid you not, there's certain things that I do and I'm like, damn, here I am thinking that I needed somebody else to do it. I don't need anybody else to do it. I can do bad all by myself. And you start to make yourself happy with these moments. But these are the moments that you're connecting with your higher self. The validation that you need is within yourself. You don't need to seek it out externally. It's all about being an internal. I think lastly, I would have to say seeking support, from others. But you have to tread lightly when it comes to seeking support from others, because you don't want to seek the support of others who operate at a low vibration. So you have to have a sense of awareness when it comes to who you want to have these kind of conversations with. I would probably recommend somebody that you trust, who is also practicing mindfulness and putting themselves first. Aside from, friends, seeking therapy or counsel, or not legal counsel, but like professional or guidance from a professional, which is what I also did too. Like, I've been in therapy for a year and a half now. Highly recommend. So these are the things that, yeah, I definitely would say would help implement boundaries. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I got when it comes to having conversation and discussion regarding boundaries. Like I said, this is a tool that is going to constantly evolve as you evolve. So understand that some boundaries definitely will stay the same, some will change, and some will be lost. It depends on where you're at in your journey. And I would say just understand that these are healthy. You know what I'm saying? Boundaries allow you to put yourself first. There's this level of self respect that comes with implementing boundaries. And what else could I say about it, Debonair? HD, what do you have to say? He basically just said it's just about being, authentically, making yourself a priority. I like that. Yeah, just making yourself a priority. You have to be a priority, and we'll talk about that, a lot, when it comes to these episodes, and making yourself the the priority, pouring into your cup. That's going to be a discussion that we're going to talk a lot about, because 9 times out of 10, I used to be the one that would pour into others. And then, bitch, when it was time to, put myself first, I was drained emotionally, physically, and some more shit, So I hope that you have a clear understanding when it comes to having boundaries and setting them. And I hope that you start today. Literally, just sit with self and be like, okay, bet. What's one way that I can put myself first? What are things that I'm okay with, and what's something that I'm no longer okay with? Because, bitch, I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm literally not. That's me talking to me right now. But like, what are these things that I can do that I'm comfortable with? I'm sure you can go about your day and be like, oh, I'm not comfortable with that. That doesn't serve me anymore. Okay, boom, set a boundary. And you putting up a boundary is going to allow yourself in that moment understand that you're putting yourself first, and that is very much so okay. That's extremely important, especially now in this world. The fuck? That wraps up today's episode regarding boundaries. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please consider subscribing or following us on your favorite podcast platform. And if you really loved it, please, 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 please write me a review. I would love to reach out to more listeners like you guys. Reach out to me on social media, and my handle is now the High Dev Perspective, and that's on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. And let me know your thoughts on today's episode. Lastly, if you want me to cover any kind of a question that you may have or want me to answer on the show, please do not hesitate to shoot me an email. And my email is thehighDevPerspective@gmail.com. I might feature your question on my upcoming episodes. Thank you so much, you guys. Like, this is episode 1 for the books. Many more to come. I've got special guests coming through, and healing doesn't necessarily need to be, I don't know, how do you explain it? A process of, being holier than thou. Like, I'm still, I'm me, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just a better version of me. And my biggest hope is I want others to be the best version of themselves, fully, unapologetically them, but, connecting to their higher selves. So, yeah, thank you so much for being a part of the High Dev Perspective. Your support means the world to me, and I can't wait to continue this journey with you guys. Stay curious, stay inspired, and keep being awesome. I will see you next motherfucking week. Okay, bye.